Hi guys, so we're going to start our music for well-being tutorial. This first tutorial is really just to get you used to the software we use at Junior Cycle and Leave Insert Music at the King's Hospital. The software is Finale Notepad. As you can see, my version is Finale Notepad 2012. There may very well be a newer version of that at this stage, but this is a software we use. So you will need to download this at home. You can download it for Mac or PC. If you have any trouble, do let me know in class. And you're going to set up a new file. So you click File, New, and this box will come up, the Document Setup Wizard. So the title of our piece is Music for Wellbeing. The composer is you, so I'm going to down Mr. Mullen. And then you click Next. You don't need to do anything with the page size or anything there. So move on. Now, Finale Notepad is it is free software, and it is a kind of a smaller, basic version of more professional software. So there are some limitations with the software. One is that you can only input up to 8 staves into your score. That's not necessarily 8 instruments, so we don't need to get into that now. But for instance, if you play piano, or if you want to put a piano into your score, that takes up 2 staves, so it would only leave you space for 6 other instruments or staves. Similarly, an organ might take up 3 staves, so you're reducing the amount of other instruments you can use if you select those instruments. I don't know yet what instruments I'm going to use, so I'm going to select a blank staff. That basically leaves that particular staff in the score empty until I decide what instrument I'm going to use later on, and I'm going to put that in 8 times. I don't actually have to use all 8 staves or 8 instruments, but if I don't select them now, I can't change that later on. So that is important. There's no benefit to not selecting 8 instruments or 8 staves here, because afterwards you can come back and add more in. So just put them in now. And once you've got 8 of them there, click Next. The next box here, this is where you select your time signature, you select the key that you're going to be in, and the number of what's called measures here. You would know that as bars. So at the moment it's set as 31 measures. We're probably going to need more than that, but we can add those in later. The key signature I'm going to leave as C major, and the time signature I'm going to leave as 4/4 time as well. Okay? As we go down, as we learn more about the software and learn more about composing music, we will be changing these and we'll be getting a bit more adventurous. But for the moment, click Finish, and there you have your blank score. Personally, what I like to do here is I like to zoom in. That's in View. Zoom to 200%. It just makes placing your notes a little bit easier on the stave. So we now have a blank score. As you can see, along the left-hand side, each of these staves is joined together by a line on the left-hand stave, meaning this is what we call a system. So we have 8 instruments in our system. Anything that happens underneath a note above it means it's happening at the same time. So for instance, let me just put in a semi-brief or a whole note on the left-hand side in my first stave. Now, by default, you'll hear a piano sound here. If I put a semi-brief in the next bar, what I've done is I've set it up so after this semi-brief has played, you will hear this semi-brief. So let's just play that. However, and I'm going to just undo the last semi-brief I put in. If I put a semi-brief underneath it, now I'll pick a different note just for effect. These 2 notes are going to happen at the same time. So anything that happens vertically, if you like, or underneath or above a note happens at the same time. Anything that happens to the right of the note you just put in happens afterwards. I'm going to undo those first 2 notes. So we're writing a piece of music for either a meditation or a yoga session, something laid back, something mellow. And as we discussed in class, long notes with softer sounds are better for this style of music. You don't want kind of harsh, brassy sounds like trumpets or French horns. We want softer sounds. Do remember we're working with a computer language called MIDI. That's it there, MIDI. It stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. Now what that means, guys, is what the instruments that you select are not actually real samples of those instruments. So if I pick a saxophone to put in my first stave, I'm not actually going to hear a saxophone. It's not going to be a real saxophone. It's going to be a computer simulation of a saxophone. So just keep that in mind. However, there are certain instruments that are written for MIDI. So they will sound perfect, they sound exactly what we want to do. So, in my first instrument here, and my first stave here, I'm going to get going. I'm going to pick a long note, a semi-breve, which I've already done. I've clicked it from this box over here. In your own score, that might happen. These windows, these boxes, might be in slightly different places on your computer, depending on the way your screen is formatted. So I'm going to put in an instrument here, but to select the instrument I want, I go to Window, Score Manager, and in Staff 1, that's where I'm putting my first instrument there, I go all the way over to the Sound column, and to the right of the instrument, I click the up-down arrow there. I bring my mouse down to the ticked box there. I don't actually click it, I don't need to click it. And here are the 128 sounds and instruments available to me for this composition. So I'm going to, as we said in class, anything from, say, here down, from 81 over to around about 104 are sounds that might be suitable for it. So let's just try one. So I'm going to pick Space Voice. And then I close this box off. I'm going to put a tie onto the semi-breve as well, so on the tie tool there. Explain why in a moment. This is going to extend the note. And if I play that now, there's what it sounds like. I do think it's probably not the sound I'm looking for. It's a little bit harsh. I want something a bit softer. So I go into Score Manager again, and we'll check, see if we can find a different sound, something a bit more suitable. Let's see what Fantasia is like. It's not quite what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something a little bit softer. So I'm going to Score Manager again, and let's try Ice Rain. And again, this is trial and error. Do experiment and you find a sound that you like. And that's certainly getting closer, but it's still not quite what I'm looking for. So let's see. Goblin. Now, this is one we did in class, and I think we said this was a nice sound. Yeah, and that's definitely closer to what I'm looking for. You may decide it's not what you want there. Now, I want that note to be longer than 4 beats. If we listen to any of the examples we listened to in class, we know we have long sustained notes. So that's why I've put the tie tool on there. That joins this semi-breve here onto the semi-breve I'm going to put in the next bar. But to save some time, I'm going to copy and paste this bar. So I go to this box here, the dotted box with the arrow around it. That's called the selection tool. Click on that and just click on the first box or first bar until it's highlighted blue. I click edit and then copy. I then click the next bar until it's highlighted blue. It'll be an empty bar. And then I go to edit, paste multiple. Paste is only if you want to paste it one time. I'm going to paste this 8 times. So you'll hear now I have one long extended note. And that's quite a suitable sound for a well-being or meditation setting. Again, don't just use it because I'm using it. Experiment with the different sounds available to you. You will notice now all of a sudden there are 8 bars going from left to right where there previously was only 3 or 4 possibly. Finale Notepad, like any other music software or notation software, is constantly reformatting the page to try and make it look as neat and tidy as possible. So you just need to be careful there. Always get in the habit of, after you've played your music, go back to the start, clicking that button there. Now I don't want it just to be that note all the way through, so I'm going to add in another note after a few bars down here. So again, my semi-breve, and I'm going to put this up here on the 4th space. The first note I put in was the 3rd space, which is C. I'm now going to put a note in the 4th space, which is E. And I'm going to change the sound in staff 2, the same as staff 1. And I'm going to copy the bar using the selection tool, the dotted box with the arrow in it. So edit, copy, edit, paste. I will do paste multiple. I'll just do this 6 times, for instance. And here's what this sounds like. So you can see there that harmonizes quite nicely. And I'm going to put in one more note, maybe 2 bars later. Now, for the moment, you can put whatever notes in you want, but make sure you're listening and make sure it's a suitable harmony, or that the notes blend well together. Again, we haven't done much of that yet. So I'm going to put in a note here now on the 3rd line, which normally, we wouldn't do. There's going to be a bit of a clash between this note and that note. However, for well-being music, very often you get those kind of close harmonies that do work quite well. And again, it's still sounding like a piano there. I'm going to change that to Goblin. There, 102. Again, a nice sound. I'm going to copy the bar using the selection tool. Edit, copy. And I'm going to paste multiple. And again, I'm just going to do this 4 times. I'm working out the number of times so that this all ends after roughly 4 bars, or 8 bars rather. Let's just have a listen to this. So you can see it's a bit of a clash there when we come in at bar 5, but it's nice. I like it. But again, you might not like it. Just notice I've gone on to the next page here now, so I need to click back to page 1 here. And then it's not just musical instruments you can add in. You can add in sounds as well. So for example, I'm going to move to the 4th stave now. Staff 4. And I'm going to look down the bottom here. And some nice sounds here. Seashore, bird tweet. Probably not gunshot. But let's add in bird tweet. Bird tweet is a nice relaxing sound. Could go very well in a meditation session. I'll put it, let's say I'll put it here. Bar 2. Okay. I don't know. I've just heard that sound there, and I don't think it's quite appropriate. It's doesn't really sound too much like birds. So let's change that. Score manager. Let's go to, say, the seashore sound. That might be nice. Put it in there now. And let's just have a listen. It's quite nice. In fact, I'm going to put that in right from the start because it's a very nice sound. Copy and paste that 8 times. Paste multiple. 8 times, and that will bring to the end. Yeah, quite happy with my sound there. But as I see here, the seashore sound has gone. So you might actually have to input that note 8 times. So I'll show you what I mean there. I'll just paste it here. Paste it here. It just seems to disappear after a few bars. So I'll play it from the start again. And actually just put it in there. Let's see what happens. Alright, we'll play that. Yeah, and that's nice. So it looks like I actually have to paste it in manually at every bar. And I just put it there and there. So I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I go on to the next page, do the next bar. Now, so I've now written 8 bars of music, and I would like you to do more for this project and use 8 staves. At the moment there I've used 4 staves. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. When you've finished, say, maybe once you get about 30 seconds of music, you can copy that all and paste it again, just say 3 or 4 times. So if you go to edit, select all, and do keep in mind as well, I've used the same sound for the first 3 staves there. I use that goblin effect for it. Experiment with it. Don't just use the same stave, the same instrument each time. Add in other effects. But the key thing is experimentation. You're composing now. You don't want to copy the work I've done. You want to create your own music. This is where the fun is about. And it's a great part of the new Junior Cycle program.